Good morning on this Tuesday. My name is Craig Moeller. I'm a meteorologist at 13 News Now in Norfolk, Virginia, serving Hampton Roads. Here's where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Love to hear from you, get your thoughts on the weather in general. If you have any weather questions or any feedback on what we're doing here, love to discuss that with you as well. So here's what we're going to cover in this extended weather coverage. We call it Weather Plus here on the 13 News Now Plus app. We've got perhaps the longest stretch of dry weather at Norfolk, Virginia on record. We're not there yet, but I'm going to break down how close we are and why we may set the record. We've got some more dry weather in the forecast. I'll show you all of that. The tropics, well, they might not be done just yet. You know, there's another month left in the hurricane season. Things typically wind down, but there is something that we're going to take a look at, an area of concern as far as potential development. And we're also going to talk about a severe storm threat in the Midwest. And we're going to talk about some Halloween forecasts around the country as well. So plenty to go over here with our 13 News Now Weather Plus coverage. Let's start off with a look at the almanac. This was for Norfolk, and we're going to talk about this dry stretch of weather that we've had. This was through yesterday, through Monday. You can see no precipitation. And for the year since January 1st, Norfolk's been at 44.82 inches. That's 2.4 inches above average. But that's since the beginning of the year. Now, more recently, October has been incredibly dry. Take a look at the previous, or the last, 4 weeks or so. We had rain on the 1st of October. We had 500ths of an inch. We picked up just a little bit into Wednesday the 2nd. Since then, we have not had anything measurable at the airport. We were just enjoying all kinds of sunshine. High pressure's been parked over us. We've talked about the extremely dry conditions. New York City, Philly, Atlanta, all of these areas really pretty much bone dry through August, and Norfolk right there. So as you take a look at this dry stretch that we've had, and I will mention, you know, there were a couple light sprinkles pretty close to the airport, but nothing that added up to anything measurable at Norfolk. And we have, for the most part, seen the sunny conditions. A lot of folks may be wondering, you know, are we in drought, or why aren't we technically in drought? And how long is all this going to last? Well, you take a look at our streak now. Today will be the 27th day consecutively that we've gone without rain at Norfolk International. Yesterday, we tied number 5 or number 4 at the time. That was 1973. We went 26 days without. In 64, we went 29 days without. 86, 30 days. And the longest stretch that we've ever had occurred back in 2000. We had 33 days without rain at Norfolk. After Friday, and there's a slight chance for a shower on Friday, about 20%. If we don't get any rain there, it's looking like we're going to get more high pressure building in. A front comes through Friday. But after that, high pressure sets up again, and we're going to stay dry, most likely through the middle of next week, maybe even a little bit after that. So we're talking 35, 36 days potentially without measurable precipitation in Norfolk. So you take a look at the drought monitor, and we can take this full. I'm going to step over into a screen here and talk a little bit more about this. Basically, we have abnormal dry conditions. Now, the U.S. Drought Monitor comes out, and they take a look at a number of things. We'll break that down. They have 5 different categories that they can classify in dry to drought conditions. Areas that do not have any color to them, these areas inland, like Franklin and Ahoskie, back up through Surrey County, western Isle of Wight, and western parts of Suffolk. These areas are considered normal or wet, so no issues with drought or dry weather at all. For these areas shaded in yellow, which includes Hampton Roads, the metro area, the peninsula, middle peninsula, northern neck over to the eastern shore, and down across North Carolina, we have abnormally dry conditions. Not really drought, but dry conditions. This is what we've had. We do have just a little bit of moderate drought just to the north there, showing up the southernmost part of Maryland up along the eastern shore. But for the most part, again, just abnormal dry. So what gives? Why do we not have a drought when we've gone this far, this many days without any wet weather. You take a look here. That drought monitor takes a look at a number of factors, and they try to get kind of a general consensus from all of these different things as to whether an area is in drought or not, whether it's, a more substantial drought or whether it's just, a light to moderate drought. It also takes a look, is it long-term or short-term? Short-term droughts, it can lead to issues with crops and different things like that. Once you get into a long-term drought, now you start messing with ecology and some other issues, and you can even get rain in the middle of a long-term drought. It may not bust that long-term drought. These are some of the other things that the drought monitor, the U.S. drought monitor, looks at when they consider whether or not an area is in drought. Not only do you have the measurable precipitation, what actually falls in the bucket or in the rain gauge, but they also take a look at temperatures. So a lot of high temperature or low humidity can add to evaporation a lot of times of the moisture from the soils and plants and different things. So temperature is a consideration. The actual soil moisture itself, and there are 450 expert observers across the country that all feed into the U.S. Drought Monitor when they put out these reports. And these are folks that monitor the soil moisture and can control, they can take a look at different water levels, say like in levees or river flows, stream flows. All of that feeds into their decision whether an area is in drought or not. So they get all of these reports coming in. They look at the soils. They hear from farmers, agricultural communities that, depend on that moisture. They'll let you know whether they're really in bad shape or not. All that goes into factor. Those water levels. In the winter months, they look at snow cover. How much snowpack is there in the mountains, say, for parts of the western U.S. or through the Appalachians? They take a look at snow coverage and melt runoff. So when you get that, how much is that snow melt going to contribute to river flows and everything else? And then they also look at drought impacts. Are there water shortages, or are there businesses that are being impacted, economically by the drier conditions? So all of these factors go in, and right now Hampton Roads really isn't in too bad a shape despite being so dry through the month of October. We're sitting about 3.5 inches below average for October, and we're 4.5 inches below average since the beginning of September. So obviously dry, but you have to get up into New Jersey. That's where they start to pick up moderate to severe drought. Parts of Pennsylvania, they have extreme to exceptional drought right now. Parts of West Virginia and Ohio. So the Ohio River Valley dealing with some very, very dry conditions there. We also are looking at extreme drought, parts of Missouri and Oklahoma. You can see those areas shaded in red. Some parts of Texas. This map, it was a lot worse about a year or so ago. Things have changed a little bit. You look out to the west and across the Great Plains and back you get into Montana and Wyoming there, they've got some drought, but the high plains, parts of Nebraska, into the Dakotas, even Kansas there, dealing with some drought. California's in pretty good shape right now. A little dry for the northern part of California, but they do get into severe drought. Vegas down through western parts of Arizona. So that's how the nation's shaping up. I pointed this out, I think last week we were talking a little bit about this as well. You'll notice this area, obviously Florida with Milton and Helene, they don't need any rain. They need drier weather. And again, that's why you don't see anything there for most of Florida. And then this area right up here through Georgia into the Carolinas and back into Kentucky, this was the path that Helene took, and all the flooding that occurred out around Asheville and back through the Appalachians, those areas and into the Smoky Mountains. This is where they had too much rain. So that's why you don't see any drought problems in this area. We'll keep a close eye to it. The next drought monitor comes out a couple days from now on Thursday, Halloween, and this updates every single Thursday. There's a new report. So we'll continue to keep you updated here at 13 News Now as we monitor all of these conditions. For now, we are dry and we continue to be dry. Now, looking out 8 to 14 days, our precipitation outlook, you can see there are better than 50-50 chances at more precipitation back across the central U.S. So maybe a little bit of relief for some of those areas I was showing you, parts of West Texas, Oklahoma, some of these areas here set to get more rain. And it looks like our chances are a little greater than not for getting some more rain here eventually. So it really looks like, aside from this slight chance of showers coming up on Friday, that may be out once you get to, say, November 4th, that 8 to 14 day outlook through the 12th, maybe we start getting a little more unsettled pattern and we actually get a little bit of relief. We could certainly use that rain. We'll continue to watch that and we will let you know. As far as temperatures go, it looks like another warm-up is coming with above normal temperatures, really for the eastern half of the country. You can see all the way back through the Mississippi River and St. Louis, that area, expecting above normal temperatures. While it may be a little cooler over the southwest U.S., parts of Arizona and New Mexico, a good chunk of the western U.S. will be close to average, and maybe a little bit warmer for California. And if you're watching or tuning in from the northern central part of the country, it looks like it'll be a little bit warmer up there across the northern tier, North Dakota into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So that's kind of the 8 to 14 day outlook. We like to share that with you as well. All right, let's take a look at the ocean front. You see the waves there breaking. It's really been a beautiful start to the day. Again, you have the sunshine out there and you might be thinking, okay, you know, what's going on in the tropics? The waves not looking too bad off our coast. We are coming to the end of the hurricane season. We've got another month. And you can see the activity historically. You know, the season begins June 1st. It peaks around September 10th. And then technically it ends November 30th. Now, sometimes you can get some development before the start of the season or after the end of the season. But typically, once you get into the end of October and you head through November, look at how much less activity there is historically than what we see through the peak of the season. So we're really winding it down as we go forward. But it doesn't look like we're quite done yet. I'm going to show you what's out there. We'll take a look at the names. So far, we've gone through Oscar. That was the last hurricane that we had. Now the next name on the list is Patty. After that, Raphael. Don't have two areas, but there is one area that we want to keep a close eye to, and that area is down in the Caribbean. You take a look at these water temperatures, and we are still looking at water temperatures in the mid-80s. So again, hurricanes, they need that warm water to draw energy, and that's what really feeds these things as they get going. You get a low-level circulation, you get higher pressure aloft, you get a low at the surface, high pressure aloft, with light winds, nothing to really disturb or, you know, pull apart those low-level disturbances. And that little low at the surface gets that warm water and starts to get more convection, more storminess, and it starts to wrap around. And as it continues to grow, eventually it gets bigger and bigger and it becomes a tropical system. It vents out at the top when it really matures. We look for this potentially when you have water temperatures above 80 degrees. Obviously, there's a lot of fuel for the hurricanes to work with still in the Caribbean. So we're going to watch this, and this is the area that the Hurricane Center has identified with this moderate chance for development within the next 7 days. Now, the next couple of days, not really anything to worry about. You know, we've got some clusters of showers and storms down there, but the models, at least some of them, suggesting there could be a low pressure center that gets better organized. Right now, it's just kind of a broad area, but we may see getting a little more focus, a little more convection around it, and it could take on tropical characteristics. Kind of moves it, the GFS, the global forecast system, kind of drifts it off to the north and to the northeast a little bit. So interest in the greater Antilles, we're talking about areas like Cuba, Hispaniola, over to Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic and Haiti, Jamaica want to pay attention to this as well. They'll want to keep an eye to it. It's not a guarantee. The model wasn't going crazy with it, spinning up a rapidly developing area of low pressure, but it does develop it and maybe brings it to the north as a rainmaker, a possible tropical system there, kind of carries it off. At this point, it doesn't look like it's a threat to the U.S., so we'll just mention that. But I will say, like the European model, earlier this morning was just kind of not as well organized, just kind of drifting a little bit more to the west. So I guess what I would really want you to know is that there's nothing that is 100% with any of this. You see the chances of development 40%, and there's still a lot of uncertainty as to not only if, but where or how things could develop it's an area that we will want to continue to monitor. Aside from that, things are looking pretty good. You take a look at areas along the East Coast. We are quiet. Things are also quiet as we take a look in the Gulf of Mexico. Here are those areas of convection, some storms that are popping up. And again, all of this occurring over very warm water, just some kind of cirrus clouds kind of moving along, but maybe a broad area of low pressure here trying to get a little bit healthier over the coming days. That'll be the concern. Fortunately for folks in Florida and along the Gulf Coast, things are really looking good now. I'm so happy to report that because they've just really been hit, especially Florida. So we're hoping they continue to catch a little bit of a break there. Across the main development region, there's really not much going on. These clouds here again along the intertropical convergence zone. And we typically get some cloud cover in this region. There's nothing showing any signs of development. And this time of year now, it gets harder and harder for storms to form out here and make it to us because we're getting more and more storm systems coming through anyway. So we're in better shape there. But again, we'll keep a close eye to the Caribbean and keep you updated on what happens with that. Now we're going to talk about what's happening in the central U.S., and this is really interesting. I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee here. All right, this is a lot of talking. I'm going to head over to the maps and talk a little bit more about what's going on. Now, I will tell you, as a meteorologist, I've been in Hampton Roads and covering weather along the mid-Atlantic now for the past couple of decades, really since 1997. But there was a 3-year period where I was back in St. Louis, and again, I went to the University of Missouri, so I've spent a lot of time back here in Tornado Alley. I spent 3 years in my career when I was a little bit younger, maybe a lot younger, back in Salt Lake City. So I've covered the weather back over the Wasatch Range, up into the Uintas, back through the Rockies. We've been doing this a long time. And it's kind of interesting to see all of these things. Again, while we continue to have dry conditions there, we're looking for potential strong to severe storms in the Midwest. And then back out over parts of the Wasatch and into the high Uintas, we're seeing a little bit of snow. That's exciting to see. They need that snow through the winter to build up the snowpack so that they've got more water to use during the warm months. So getting some more early season snow is kind of fun. That and the ski resorts will take whatever they can get. Come on, let's start building that base so that we've got some nice conditions. Greatest snow on earth right out there in Utah. It's beautiful out there. Colorado make an argument, I know, but I'm still a little partial to Salt Lake City. All right, as we take a look here, some unsettled weather across the upper Midwest. I want to talk to you about the big deal here. We've got high pressure still camped out over the eastern U.S. Got a flow here that's kind of starting to bring some moisture up across Texas into Oklahoma and Kansas. There's a frontal boundary out here. This is going to work eastward, all right? And again, out ahead of this, we're going to tap more of this Gulf moisture and bring it up into this area. This is going to set the stage for some strong to severe storms. Looks like tomorrow. A couple things going on as this works eastward. Again, high pressure in control for the eastern half of the country. So we're going to focus right now on the severe weather outlook in the central U.S. And it's a level 2 threat. Okay, you take a look, you've got several levels here of concern for a severe weather outlook. This is a level 2 or a slight risk. And you can see, again, this area extending from North Texas around Dallas up through central Oklahoma, much of Oklahoma, into eastern Kansas, western Missouri, basically from just west of Columbia, Missouri, around Boonville. And Missouri, University of Missouri is right there in Columbia, Missouri. So just west of Mizzou out through Kansas City, up towards Omaha. Some of the areas down to the south here, you can see through the southwest part of Missouri, Joplin, Springfield, all these areas in Missouri under a level 2 threat for severe weather. Now, that threat for severe weather, especially down in this area, there is a possibility of tornadoes. So gusty winds, you always have that opportunity when you've got severe storms that pop up, outflow from the heavy downpour, some of these supercells that develop. Sometimes these lines bow out a little bit. You can get a lot of outflow. You also, at times, need to be concerned with hail. So I think with wind and hail both being considerations, I also want to mention this focus here where there is an elevated risk of tornadoes, especially Wichita, Kansas, down through central Oklahoma. So this is an area we're going to be watching, and as we pick up the forecast here, I'm going to show you a Futurecast and how it kind of develops some storms back through that part of the country. Take a look at the highs from Monday. And again, this really helps you understand, even though we're getting into the end of October and early November, we're still looking at some incredibly hot temperatures. Wichita back up to 90 for a high. El Paso at 91. We've got mid to upper 80s from Dallas to San Antonio. Little Rock at 87 for a high. St. Louis up to 81. So there's a lot of warmth and a lot of moisture building in ahead of this front. On the backside, Salt Lake City 65. And remember, I just showed you the satellite radar images, now cold enough to support some snow in the mountains this morning up in some of the high elevations. So it is interesting. This storm system coming through is going to drag some cooler air into the western U.S. and eventually back into this area. And it's going to be this battleground where the cool air comes in and this warm, moist air out ahead of the front that we're going to be most concerned with the potential for severe weather. You take a look through the afternoon, we could see some rough weather developing back across parts of Colorado into New Mexico. Storms possible out across Kansas, and some of this moisture eventually working to the east. Now, as we take you through the overnight, late tonight, this first area of energy kind of pulls to the north. Could see some very powerful winds developing out ahead of some of the storms with this low as it tracks along and moves off to the north. Eventually, that may weaken, but we're going to be looking for additional development through the day on Wednesday. You see this area of low pressure, and there could be some mesoscale convective systems, what we call an MCS. Could see some of that developing later tonight or into early Wednesday. And then again, later Wednesday, another batch kind of working through this area. And this is Wednesday afternoon and evening. This is that greater concern for tornadoes. It looks like the winds are going to be coming up. And then again, a lot of switching with that as we go with height. So where you get that wind shift in that direction, we have the potential there for some supercells and possibly some tornadic development. So we're going to be watching that. Again, here in Hampton Roads and for the eastern half of the country, high pressure still in control. You notice a little more moisture building off to the north, so a few sprinkles out that way. But with high pressure still here, that's really going to take this rough weather and ride it back over to our north, and that's exactly how that moves along into early Thursday. So the Great Lakes, obviously the upper Midwest, and then we've got that concern later in the day tomorrow back across Kansas and Oklahoma. High pressure still in control here, so looks like our weather is looking pretty good. It will continue to be dry as we head into Halloween. All right, let's talk about Halloween and the Halloween weather across the country. Here in the Mid-Atlantic, things are looking really good for the trick-or-treaters. You see the potential, and this is just an outlook. You see that line of wet weather from Indiana and Ohio back down through portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, and through Louisiana, back towards the Houston area potentially. Some snow flying across parts of Idaho into Oregon, even Northern California, some of the higher country there could see some snow. We're going to break down the forecast in more detail. Again, we're looking at warm conditions through the Mid-Atlantic. I expect the high here in Norfolk to be about 80 degrees or so. I think Raleigh close to 81 in Atlanta. And again, cooler back across the upper Midwest. You see up around Wisconsin, some snow flying there. Weather looks good for trick-or-treating in New York City, Boston. It's all good. A little wet around Cleveland. Hopefully you have, kids going out there have a way to protect themselves from the rain. Nobody likes to get your costume all wet. Unless maybe you're a scuba diver for Halloween, then you don't care if it rains, right? Anyway, some rain back across Chicago and St. Louis potentially, especially earlier. Hopefully that'll move out and the trick-or-treaters will work out there. Little Rock, a chance for some storms. Things will be improving and turning cooler back across Omaha, Oklahoma City, back down into Dallas as well. For the western U.S., again, unsettled for parts of Oregon and Northern California. Looks good around L.A. and Vegas, back through Phoenix. Salt Lake not looking too bad. And Seattle okay as well, but a little bit of wet weather earlier pushing off to the east. Here's the deal for Hampton Roads. We'll go ahead and cue those dancing monsters. We've got Frank and we've got the Count over here. They're kind of getting their groove on. I think they're happy because Halloween here looks really good. Skies mainly clear. Temperatures around sunset are going to be in the low 70s, so not too creepy at all. Winds are looking like they're going to be fairly light from the southwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So trick-or-treaters in Hampton Roads in for more treats than tricks. Now, as we take a look at our water here, this is the Elizabeth River. Things are looking really good. Chesapeake Bay, things look nice as well. Out on the ocean, it's fairly flat. You still see some wave action coming in and the sun reflecting on the water there at the First Street Jetty. Here's a look at our boating forecast across Hampton Roads. We have the nice conditions, as I mentioned, pretty flat in the Chesapeake Bay. The waves only around a foot or so, light east winds 5 knots. For the ocean waters, the east winds about 5 to 10 and the seas around 2 feet. Now, I showed you those water temperatures down in the Caribbean. And I mentioned how they were supportive of tropical development with the water temperatures, sea surface temperatures currently in the mid-80s. You take a look at our local waters just off the coast of Virginia Beach now, our water temperatures in the mid-60s. That's at the buoy just offshore. And the Chesapeake Bay, 62 degrees. So here in Hampton Roads, not bad at all. Again, calm conditions, but certainly the water 20 degrees warmer than it is off our coast down in the Caribbean right now. And that's why they're still concerned about tropical development. For Hampton Roads today, temperatures close to 71. These temperatures are pretty close to average. We're normally at 68 for a high around Norfolk, and for most of Hampton Roads, a little bit warmer inland, but all in all, it's a pretty good looking day. Now, as we go through the overnight and into early tomorrow, low temperatures are going to drop back down to about 54 degrees. Skies are going to be mainly clear. It'll be pleasant, but it will be a little cooler inland. This morning, we had temperatures in the 40s near the coast, and we had mid-30s inland. Don't think it'll be that cool tomorrow. It should be milder with winds coming in from the southeast about 5 miles per hour, but it will still be chillier for inland areas. So I think many areas away from the coast down into the 40s, it'll still be a cool morning. Tomorrow through the afternoon, 78, sunshine. Obviously much warmer, so things looking really good. Southwest winds at 10 miles per hour. You take a look at the 7-day forecast, and temperatures will be trending up. 71 today, 78 for the day on Wednesday, and then Thursday close to 80. Again, not too scary, mostly sunny there. For Friday, we've got that 20% chance for a shower as the front comes through. That's it. If we get some showers, that'll break that streak of consecutive days. Remember, today's 27, tomorrow will be 28, be 29 on Thursday. We may see it break after that. But if we don't get anything there, you could keep adding, and as we go ahead into Monday, that would tie the record for the longest stretch of weather without any measurable precipitation in Norfolk. And there's a chance we'll get there. So stay tuned. We'll see if we actually do that. We could use a little bit of rain. Doesn't look like we're going to see any over the weekend. It will be cooler. 65 for a high on Saturday, 67 on Sunday. And I want to remind folks we need to set those clocks back 1 hour. So we fall back, daylight saving time ends. Of course, most of our mobile devices, we know they take care of that automatically for us. But maybe you've got that microwave oven or that oven clock that you need to send back. Maybe you need to do something in your car if you got to reprogram and set it back an hour. The main thing I really want to focus on with daylight saving time ending is that you need to also change out your batteries and smoke detectors and in your carbon monoxide detectors. It's a good time to do it. If you think about doing that every 6 months, you know you'll always have something in good working order. All right, something I hope to be doing here in the future as we do more of these extended weather outlooks, we're going to start featuring more of the content you help to share. So I'll be checking in with my social media platforms and looking for different things like this sunrise taken by Brian Gregory. You can see a sliver of the moon there. This was pre-sunrise. And again, with daylight saving time our ending this weekend, our sunrises will occur earlier. So when Brian's out, maybe heading out the door around, I believe he's out at the beach there in Virginia Beach, basically, you're going to have more sunlight to work with earlier. And again, we'd love to have your pictures. If you're a 13 News Now viewer, you can always hit me up through any of our social media platforms and love to get it. I can be found on Facebook at Craig Moeller, Instagram, Craig Moeller TV, and on X at 13 Craig Moeller. So some different ways to find me on social media, and we'll continue to feature some of your work as well. That, and I'll also mention if you've got a question or something you'd like me to address on the air with these special extended 13 News Now Plus, Weather Plus segments. Send it in, and I'll be happy to look into it and see if we can't get some of your viewer questions answered. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. This is a special feature we're doing, and we'll continue to provide more of this information for all of you weather junkies who really enjoy kind of a deeper dive into the forecast. We'll continue to keep you updated right here at 13 News Now.